You make my high come down. Ooh, you make my high come down. Always tripping when you come around. Never have to cut you out like right now. You see, I don't have to drive me. You can say that for your mama. Maybe you should smoke some. Me try the marijuana. I was never you good. The vibe was straight. Showed you a couple of things and they feel strange. I treated you right. Everything was a gift from a time to your bag and the color on your lip.
Welcome to the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, powered by Blue Wire. Shout out to the new company. My name is Michael Sean Dugar. You guys know you can follow me on whatever Elon Musk is calling that app these days. My @ name has not changed. It is also right under my chin for those who are watching us on our YouTube channel. At Mike Dugar, MikeDugar. Speaking of our YouTube channel, Seahawks Man to Man is the name of it. Go like, subscribe, show us some love. We really appreciate all that support. Make sure you do the same thing on our Instagram channel and on our, TikTok, Instagram. Seahawks Man to Man is the name of all that stuff. The Seahawks Man, the number 2 man. Thank you. Appreciate all the love and support in advance. Chris, go ahead, talk to him.
What is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Christopher Kidd. You can follow me on Blue Sky and Twitter at CKIDD206, and that's CKID206.
All right. We're almost to the draft. We're almost there. We got about a little over a week. We're almost there. We have we talked about it a little bit. Shout out to Kai Samuels, our last episode. We haven't talked about too in depth. We've been too busy discussing whether Sam Darnold is good, and a bunch of other things going on with the changes that the Seahawks have made. But yes, this is a pre-draft time. We still haven't heard yet from John Schneider and Mike McDonald. They're going to do the little pre-draft thing. I think coming up sometime next week, obviously. We'll maybe react to them, maybe not. It kind of depends on when they do it. But for now, we wanted to hear from you guys. It feels like the more and more we do this, and the more the draft becomes like this really big event, and how much data is out there for the fans to consume. Everyone has their draft takes. Chris, I don't know if you saw, we just did an exercise at The Athletic where we had readers submit their mock drafts, like 7-round mock drafts. I'm like, oh yeah, we might probably get some people do it. A few. Yeah, 80 mock drafts sent in. Yeah, 80 people sent. Well, about 80 people. We got 80 mocks. I think somebody sent in like 6. I was like, oh yeah, that guy's
dedicated.
He's very dedicated. They were very fun. Some had trades, some didn't. Some went nuts with the trades. It was very fun, but it just showed how dedicated people are to like pre-draft content, and I love that.
How impressive would they have to be to get like should we hire this guy?
That was so. I'm definitely gonna keep the spreadsheet. Shout out to my editor. He crunched all the crunched everything. Got us who was the most popular pick. This is all up on The Athletic right now. The most popular picks, the most popular first round picks. We put together a consensus Seahawks mock based on everything. Who was the most popular position or player selected at each slot? So 18, 52, yada yada yada, 50. So that was cool. So we'll see how well that consensus mock does. Actually, I might be able to pull that up, because that was actually kind of interesting. Because I think, Chris, that might do well compared to what they actually do. So let's see. This was the consensus mock. Was Gray Zabel, Tate, Ratledge, Jaden Higgins, Jared Wilson, Andrew Makuba, Quinn Ewers, Za Frazier, Jack Kaiser. I think Jack Kaiser, that was pick 175. Just as a footnote, we had to break a tie there. And the tie was between Jack and I think Kyle McCord of Syracuse. But because Quinn Ewers had already been picked, it would have felt weird to put a quarterback again. So we went with the linebacker there. So if you want to include Kyle in the consensus mock, you can as well. But anyway, in the last 2 picks are Ty Robinson from Nebraska and then Jordan James from Oregon. So write all that down. We'll see how that does up against John Schneider. So yeah, we'll see. I'm definitely going to shout out the fan who if someone gets it right, like all of them, obviously they should get hired by the Seahawks. But if they even just get like half of it, they deserve something. We'll figure out what they should get, because that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think over the last a lot of drafts we've done, I think it's over 6. I'm happy about my Will Dissly pick. Shout out to the Seahawks for making me feel special.
Is that's still the only one you got was Will?
I you know what? I don't even think we need to go back and look. I think it is just Will and Rasheem Green.
That's the same draft.
Those I went 2 out of, I think they had 7 picks that year. Nonetheless, it wasn't great, but fun times. We'll see how everything works out this season.
All right. So, and in here from you guys, we wanted to debut a new feature on the Seahawks Man to Man podcast. I know how big of a deal it is for people to hear their voices on the shows they listen to, whether it's a radio show or a podcast. So, we have a voicemail line. We do. Send out the voicemail call for you guys to leave your hot take if you got one, any questions you had. So, let's go to our first ever Seahawks Man to Man voicemail. This is cool. This is history right here.
Hi, this is Hunter from Edmonds, Washington. My question is, given that Kubiak's experience with Taysom Hill last year, do you think the Seahawks are looking to add somewhat of a gadgety player in the upcoming draft? Whether it's a gadgety player at fullback or even quarterback. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you.
All right. Shout out was that Hunter?
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Hunter, man. Breaking us in with their first voicemail. All right, where should we go? So I do like the question. I like the idea of like wondering about a gadget guy because they did have Taysom Hill over there in New Orleans, and Taysom is. It's not like Clint brought him in, but you got to figure out how to use him because he's just such a big part of the offense. He can do a little bit of everything. I'm not really a fan of like going to get gadget guy. Like if you just have gadget guy, sure. But if I gotta go get you for the gadget purposes, I'm not really. I just feel like unless we just don't have no weapons, then maybe. But if I gotta go get you, I'm not really big on that. Where are you on that, Chris?
That's an interesting one because with Taysom, he does do a lot. But how much, like, are the Seahawks right now with their roster, do they need someone that's a gadget? I would probably say no, but it doesn't hurt to have that guy because it just creates problems for the defense. So I don't think they would need to go out and get a gadgety player. I think more so find someone that is solid on one thing they do and put him in, plug him and play him. Right. I think that is kind of where the Seahawks are at because they do have a Devin Witherspoon who is that gadgety type player that, you know what, you can put him anywhere in that defense and he will probably do just fine. Even with Reek Woolen, when he's locked in, he's another guy that you can throw back there at safety. He has good tracking skills on the football. He has the speed. He won't get beat deep if he's locked in. So I think the Seahawks have enough of those gadgety guys, whether it's on offense and or defense. Like, hell, even Ken Walker. He's a guy that can catch passes out the backfield. He can run the football. You can line him as a receiver. You can do those type of things. I know Taysom Hill is more than that because he can throw the football if you need him to. He can line up and run it. He can run so many different things. He can be special teams. Like he's literally gadgety guy. But I think the Seahawks are at a place right now where they're looking for guys that can help improve their team to get to the ultimate goal. And so it wouldn't be a knock to get a gadgety guy, but I think that's to your point. Maybe he's already on the roster, right? Maybe you just add another thing that he can add to another thing that he can do on the offense and or defense.
Thing, and this is not really Clint's fault per se, but I feel like I just got like PTSD is too strong, but like I just don't trust the Seahawks to use insert gadget guy correctly. I just don't. We've seen it, whether it's a high end guy like Percy or like who's a more recent example, LaVisca. That's basically what LaVisca was brought in to be, essentially. Nope. You know, and that's kind of what they were forcing D. Eskridge to be, even though that's not what he is. So I just don't believe in. I just don't trust that if they did find that person, you know, it just wouldn't work out that way. Like if the Seahawks had drafted Debo over DK, like I just don't think it would have worked out the same. I just don't think they would have figured out how to use him properly. So, like in theory, I guess sound like a good idea. I do like the Hunter mentioned maybe like a gadgety fullback. That would be kind of fun though. I don't know what the hell that looks like, but
Taysom Hill, right?
Okay, here's my other Taysom hot take. I just don't think Taysom was that good, like at anything. So I would have traded him, you know, if I'd have got like, is he still in New Orleans? If so, I would.
Yes.
If I'm Kellen Moore, I'm like, bro, it's fun, but like, we run a real offense over here, so no. And remember, I'm saying that as someone who has seen arguably probably Taysom's best game. Like he hit the Seahawks for like 4 touchdowns a few years ago, and it might have been the best game of Taysom's life. College, high school, Pop Warner, or pro. He went bananas. Like so, I've seen him be at his best. Like, he was nasty. I think he threw for a touchdown in that game. I think he ran for 3. Like, it was absurd. Like, I get there's some talent there. I just unless the cupboard is completely bare, like, I'm trying to think of a team who could use something like that. Carolina. Carolina doesn't have any weapons for Bryce Young. They've got who was a leading receiver last year? Was it Thielen? I have no idea. So
Might have been Leggett,
maybe
the country boy.
no, he can't catch. He can't, man. Anyway, yeah. So maybe a team like that, but for the Seahawks, like you mentioned, they've got guys like spend more time trying to get the ball to Noah and Jackson and Coop and MVS. Yeah, I don't know. They even experimented with like some Derek Young gadgety type stuff. Remember his rookie year, lining him up at fullback and stuff. It's like it's fun, but I feel like your offense needs to be elite, and then you can play with like that type of stuff. Like maybe in the red zone, I think that's where Taysom actually was really dangerous. But yeah, I'm just not feeling it. Good question though. That is, I do think that's something they probably considered. Then you look around, it's like we just need to get a fullback first, and then figure out how we can fix our offense on third down in the red zone, and then go from there.
That's fair. Well, Mike, looking at the draft, this is from Bagsy Travels on Twitter. Who would you guys each take with number 18 overall?
All right, you go first.
Oh, thanks a lot, Mike. What
What
would
you
I do
mean? Yeah,
without you?
we didn't talk about it before I answer. I was just like, all right, let me see if Chris will go.
Yeah, I'll go. This is an interesting one, but I will go with a guard. I know it's a position of need for the Seahawks, and I know Mike McDonald he's out in the open saying that we're going to take the best player on our board that's available. And if this guy's available, I think they probably would take him, and that would be Tyler Booker, the guard out of Alabama, 6'4", 300 plus pounds, and he's coming from a heavy run, what was it, RPO scheme out there. So coming to Seattle, little different scheme, obviously. We all know that. But I remember Mike saying this and a couple other people. If the film says he can play football, he can play football. He will be fine. You throw whatever scheme you want. At the end of the day, it's football. He'll figure it out. And that's kind of what I think about Booker. I know it's, as I said, it's RPO style that he was formerly at, but when you get to the big leagues, hey, can you block the guy in front of you? Can you do A, B, and C? You'll be fine. I think Booker crosses all those off. And I think he's someone that the Seahawks do need a guard. He can come in and fill that spot. So imagine your starting lineup. I guess the center will be another issue down the line, but let's just go with your left tackle, Charles Cross. Your left guard is Tyler Booker. You keep Olu at center, and maybe I don't know how you're feeling about the guard spot right now, Mike. Do you think they take another guard in the draft, or are you okay with where they're at right now?
Um, good question. First, can I get off a little draft hot take here while we're at it?
Yes.
Actually, so you brought up like you if the tape says a guy can play football, then you should probably draft him to play football, right? And I do think sometimes it really is that simple. And I think it was a quote or a tweet from like the guy who was the Jags GM now. He came from the Rams, and the Rams don't really come to the combine no more. I'm not even sure. I think the tweet was like they don't do 30 visits. They just watch film. I'm sure they get the medical grades, obviously, and then they draft their guys. That's what the Rams do, and I think that's what the Jack. I think Gladstone is his name. I think they were saying that he's going to do the same thing. Like that's how he's going to operate. They don't do 30 visits. Some of this other stuff that teams do. The more that I get into the draft stuff and watch some of these guys, and I've watched a good bit of these guys now. I went in. I've gotten some film, been able to sit down, watch some of these guys on offense, and then at the same time be able to watch some of them on defense, particularly in the CFP. It's crazy how many of like all the best prospects mostly played at some point in any one of these million CFP games we had. But I really do think we overthink so much of this and get into like the underwear running and some of the combine testing and then hand size. I think that's like Will Campbell's thing right now. And just so much of this other stuff. I really do think the draft should just be like the first weekend of March. Really should. Just like let these guys go to the combine, get everyone's medical information, get that information sent out to every team. So every team has the same stuff. They got all the x-rays, whatever on a kid's MCL, ACL, ankle, shoulder, whatever. Make sure everyone's got the same info, which is what the combine was invented for anyway. Make sure that's what they got. You don't need to see any. You can see guys run if you want, but kill the pro days, kill some of this other stuff. Watch the tape, draft the guys. I really think that's where I would be if I was GM. Maybe I would do 30 visits, particularly with guys who
Just
I
to
might
see the
draft high.
character.
Yeah, because you still need to test the character of the guy. And now it's still just like a job interview. Guys can just fake it for a day. It's not that hard. I've done that. Like it's not that complicated. But it's still worth doing, I think, for your high picks. I don't need to bring in on a 30 visit a guy who I have a 6-round grade on. If he's a nut job, might just be a nut job. 6-round pick. Not as risky if we take a nut job there. Or him being a nut job might be a good thing. Who knows? But like if I'm about to take Cam Ward or whatever, okay, no, come to Nashville, we can have dinner, blah blah. I'll do stuff like that. But teams, I think they're overthinking it. There's just this influx of data. Like watch the tape. Obviously, you can talk. You could talk to the coaches and teammates, things like that. You do need to learn the player. That's for sure. You got to figure out if you're taking a George Pickens or a Terry McLaurin, right? Like, yes, they're both very good receivers, played at big colleges, produced, but like George is very different than Terry, right? George is a little out there. Terry is like leader guy. You do need to know that beforehand. But outside of that, I think we just get too much into all this stuff. And we do get to worried about like what type of scheme player X came from, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm looking at the tape. How's his feet? How's his hands? How's his hips? Like those 3 things usually are probably how's his arm if he's a quarterback. Like those 3 or 4 things usually just tell me whether I should draft a guy. So with that being said, yes, they should draft a guard. Sorry, that was a long-winded way of getting to your question.
All right, so that's fine. They'll draft a guard because clearly what we saw last season from Anthony Bradford and Christian Haynes just wasn't enough. So bringing another young guy to push them. And then obviously at right tackle, you'll have Abe Lucas. I'd be cool with that, assuming everything pans out for Tyler Booker. I just think this is at this point in time, you got to go with a guy that can really help your team. And with his size, long arms, and just mass of a big offensive lineman, you got to go after him. I'm reading on the beast that, he has good bend for his size, which Mike just talked about, hip mobility to anchor and slow down a bull rush. That's great. Going up against Bosa twice a season, that'll be beneficial. I'm not saying that he'll match up against Bosa every time, but when he does get those opportunities, he is someone that could probably take on someone of that caliber or any player in this division going on in the regular season. So Tyler Booker would be my pick at 18 if he is obviously there.
All right, so if I had the 18th pick, like if I'm GM that I just mapped out, I have a lot of guys that I'd be willing to take. Booker would be one of them.
Copycat. Get your own guy.
That's true. Okay, I'll take a different guy. I'll take a different guy. I think like Will Johnson would be a guy that I'd feel comfortable taking. The corner from Michigan.
Yeah.
But I don't
had some
imagine
good things about him.
Yeah, and I mean he talked me into quite a few guys. But I think so. It depends on who's there. I don't think Will be there. I would take the tackle from Missouri. I've been watching some like Luther Burden, I think his name, tape. Like clearly the right tackle there is the best player on the field. So I would probably take him. But anyway, I'm stalling. So I think if it really came down to it, based on who I project to be there, I'd probably take Matthew Golden, receiver out of Texas. Yeah, I like him. He's probably the best receiver that I've watched so far out of this class, I think. And I'm going to write a receiver story coming out, I think, Thursday on The Athletic, kind of ranking my top 5 guys. So here's like a little teaser, a little bit into that. I think that the Seahawks kind of have the good thing about this system, and John Snyder has talked about this. The system has pretty like clearly defined skill sets. Like if you watch the Saints, like it basically had 2.5 type of guys that you needed at receiver. It was like, okay, I need you can look at the whole thing. We need a really athletic pass catching tight end. We need another tight end that's just like meathead blocker guy. We need stick your foot in the ground and go running back. I wish I would have seen Chris Carson in the scheme. Long live Chris Carson. And he's not dead, but you guys get what I'm saying. You need meathead fullback. You need take the top off the defense receiver, and you need separator underneath receiver guy. Like you can mess with those however you want, but that is generally what you want. And I think Golden kind of slides perfectly into that take the top off guy, and he could be the intermediate guy. Like he can be both. I think he ran like 4.29 at the combine or something like that. Don't care too much about that. On film, he looks fast. It doesn't look that fast because, like, for reference, I think that's what Reek ran. and that's also faster than what Ken Walker and DK ran. And that's not what I see on the tape. I just see a fast guy, not like a, oh my God, you're Xavier Worthy fast guy. Like that, you can actually see that difference on film. I feel like you guys have watched Xavier Worthy now enough. You know, like when he gets to run and you're like, oh, okay, there's a different gear on that kid. Same thing with like Tyreek Hill. You watch him, you're like, oh, look how quickly he's just pulling away from everyone. Same thing with that the little running back from Miami, A Chain, kid can fly. Just it looks different. Matthew doesn't look like that, but he's I feel like of the top guys in this class, he's one of the guys I trust to have that like separation, ability to separate deep, kind of replace what you were getting from DK there. I think Marquez Valdez-Scantling can do it too, but he's on a 1-year deal, 30-year-old guy. So I mean, you got to plan for the future. Take a receiver in the first round. You got him for 4 years plus the 5th-year option. So that's good. I think he'd be a nice number 2 to Jackson. Like you can see it really. Like what Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed were doing first couple weeks, you can see it with Golden and Jackson just so well. And you can kind of see it with like Cup and Jackson a little bit, but not as much. I feel like they got to tweak the scheme a little bit to make that work, which is fine. But I think that, yeah, Golden has a little bit of both of that. And I think if you need sometimes Jackson to be to take the top off guy, however that looks, corner route, post, whatever, deep dig, whatever. Jackson can do all that stuff too. And you can work Golden underneath. Golden's good yak guy as well. Good hands too. Some really good catches in the CFP games I watched, which was like most of them. I think CFP games and then like the Michigan game. I think it was one that I watched. So yeah, Chris, I like this guy. I know people want us to take guards like you mentioned, and I think they can get some guards in this class. I actually kind of agree with John Snyder. This feels crazy to say out loud, but I think I've said it on the show before. I do agree that guards are overdrafted and overpaid. I do actually agree, but you can't say that and then not get good guards. So I feel like he's got to, he's got to do that. The process is fine. Execution has been awful. So anyway, I would take him. But there's a few guys I would take there. This is not. It's not a full-on trade back, obvious trade back scenario. I think there are like probably like 4 guys I would take. Booker being one of them. Golden, Will Johnson. You could maybe talk me into one other guy, perhaps none of the quarterbacks. But yeah, if I had to like just nail a guy down and take him in this draft, give me my man from Texas, and we're gonna roll.
Yeah, he got some speed, all right. That's impressive. So yeah, well, that'll be an interesting fit. He's not the biggest guy, but he definitely would draw attention from DBs just because they know about one thing. You run anything under 4.3, Cats is like, where he at on the field? So,
Yeah,
and if you are
and
running 4.3.
he couldn't show off his speed, I don't think, that much at Texas, which is probably why he's not seeing much of it, because Quinn Ewers probably at the same arm strength level as you. Like, and I've seen you throw. You can throw it far, but like, I'm about to draft you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can throw, but like, if that was all you got, I'm not putting you in the NFL. Like, Quinn does not have a strong arm at all. I watched a lot of the quarterbacks too, and I was just like, oh, we'll get to them a little later. Someone asked about that, but yeah, I think that was part of his issue too. I feel like a lot of these guys play with really bad quarterbacks, which has affected some of their numbers. Anyway, yeah, that's I take Golden.
All right, this next one comes from Phil Birnbaum. Who are your favorite targets in each of the first 3 rounds? So initially, the top 100. Who you got, Mike?
Oh, I'm going first on this one.
Yeah, since you threw me out there to go first last time, it's back to you.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So I am, after listening to Kai and then going to watch a little bit myself, mostly watching just Alabama's defense to watch offensive guys. I'm a big G.I. Campbell guy. I think that's just like I like Tyrese Knight too, but you put Ernest there next to him. Chris, I think we got something. So that would probably be my guy, my favorite, the guy I'm like banging the table for, like old school scouting saying in the first round. Second round, let me not make sure I mess up my guy's name. The Florida State corner. His name has an apostrophe in it and a Z and a Y, which is nuts. Let's Azarie Thomas. I like him. What stood out when a little bit I watched him, because I don't think Florida State was good, so I didn't spend a lot of time. They weren't didn't seem good on tape. Let me see. Oh yeah, they were 2-10. Yeah, okay. It looked like that when I watched. That was not a good team. Which is crazy because I think they were undefeated the year before. Anyway, He just has that swagger to him. I think I might have wrote this somewhere. That he reminded me a little bit like when I watched DJ Reed when he was with the Seahawks. Like DJ had that just like confidence to him. It wasn't like an arrogance. He's not like I don't think he's going to be a guy like getting in fights and stuff like that because he's like taunting guys. You can just tell like he's very confident in what he does. And that comes out in his play. And then I listened to a couple of interviews with him, and I was like, oh, okay, like you can kind of see where he gets that from. I think his brother's in the league. He's a Florida State DB. He's familiar with Jalen Ramsey, who has that same kind of swagger and confidence to him. So he's one of my guys, and he's a young dude too. I think he's a pretty young cat. Yeah, pretty young cat. Really good measurables for a corner. I gotta pull him up, see if the beast will load while I'm talking here. But yeah, I liked him quite a bit. Yeah, 6'2", 196. Not super fast. Only 20 years old. He'll be 21 as a rookie. Yeah, ran 4.58, which is typically a no-no. That's you guys should see Chris's face right now. Chris made that spoiled milk face. 4.58. Yeah,
Safety.
but again, I'm not really caught up in the underwear stuff. I watch you play. How fast do you run then? How fast do you recognize stuff? So I liked him. It'd be my second round guy. And then third round, go Cougs. Let me switch hats too for this portion of the show. Kyle Williams, man. Kyle Williams, go Cougs. He's a baller. He's a really good player. I don't even think he'll be around on round 3, but anyway, I'm just throwing him in there. But he's good. He's good. The more I watch the other receivers, I'm like, oh, Kyle's definitely like a top 5 guy in this class. He gets open. Simple. He gets open, he can catch. I don't need to see much else. So yeah, give me my man from Florida State, Kyle Williams, and Jihad Campbell.
It's a tough list, Mike. I ain't mad at it, man. I like it.
I'd be a good GM, I think, until I wouldn't. It's just everyone's a good GM until they're not. That's it.
I don't want to test my luck as a GM. I think I'll just stick to the hot takes on the Man to Man podcast when people ask us our opinion and leave it at that. So I will go with a receiver. For one, the frame stands out to me, and that's 6'4", 210. Tet Roa McMillan, out of the Hawaii native, and he was productive. All right, I think he had well over 2,700 yards last season, 112 first down. So when Sam Darnold needs that first down, I think he's going to be able to get open and find the quarterback and show his hands and go out there and make a play. Again, tall, long, limber athlete. He has a background in a couple of sports. I think volleyball is one of them. So don't really care if he, was great at volleyball, but you know what? He can jump up and go pinpoint the football, which I think Dane alluded to, a catch point focus that is, whether he's in a crowd or he's wide open, he's going to pretty much come down with the football. Also finishes strong. So I know Mike and I were very tough on DK about these contested catches because we didn't see a lot of it. I think you bring in this McMillan kid, I think he nails that down. All right. He can definitely get stronger and bigger. He's not the biggest guy, but I think when you get to the NFL and you train and work out, he can add probably 10, 15 pounds. So he's coming in at 210. Maybe by the start of the season, he's up to 225, maybe even 230. Who knows? I don't know how much that's going to slow him down because
throw 20 pounds on the kid.
Hey, man.
That's
why not? But that will probably slow him down tremendously. And I don't think
that's the answer to your why not. Yeah. Like it's slow as hell at 20 pounds.
Well, he's not going to blow you away with speed. I think he came in at a 4.51 at the pro day that he did. So not the fastest guy, but I know Mike is big on this, and that's yards after catch. He is money when it comes to yards after catch. This guy is going to do that. He ranked number 3 among all receivers with 28 forced missed tackles in 2024. So if you need someone to catch it and then get out in the open and create something, he's that type of guy. And you team him up with JSN, Cooper Kupp, that is, MVS. I think that could be something special. I think that could definitely just make it difficult to game plan for a team with a guy that's over there 6'4", has a solid route tree, catches almost everything, and you got to respect it. You can't just put your 5'11" corner on them like, yeah, you got this. That's just, hey, Sam Darnold and catch all day. Him and Sam Darnold playing catch all day, I think. So that's one of my favorites in the top 100. And then going back to the offensive line, surprise, I'm going with guard Jonah Savanaia. Excuse me. He's a guard out of Arizona, and he played a lot of different roles at Arizona. The Seahawks, hey, just bring him in, have him play guard, good hands at the force of contact. And then again, another guy that's just big and got the long arms. You can't be upset at that. And if I'm not mistaken, he was only flagged once in 2024. One time was he only flagged. The Seahawks last season. Oh yeah, we can do a whole podcast on the penalties that they had last season. It was a mess. Bringing in someone that doesn't accumulate a lot of penalties could probably help out this offensive line. Again, this is someone that you could probably get in the second round, between 50, 55 range. So I think he might be available. So this is someone that has also been healthy. Started 36 straight games across 3 different positions. Because I remember I stated that he played all over the place with the offensive coordinator down there in Arizona. Well, he was healthy when he played. So I think this kid is definitely someone that the Seahawks should definitely take a look at. And Mike, you mentioned that you guys allowed your readers to give you guys a mock draft. Well, I think you mentioned that Jaden Higgins was actually a consensus pick between all the people that threw in their opinions on it.
Yeah,
Was that
fans
right?
love Jaden. Yeah, he was the most popular receiver pick by a mile, I want to say.
Well, I'm with a lot of the readers. I think this guy has the ability to do something special at the next level. He has the height, length, and the speed that you want at the NFL level. I think that's what separates him from McMillan, obviously, is the speed factor. McMillan ain't about to run away from you. He might get open and he might make you miss after the catch, but he's not going to be able to create separation after the catch without using his physical attributes such as running you over. That's just not what he's going to be able to do. He can't run by you. So he is someone that stands out. And the natural hand aspect, you throw it to him, he's going to catch it. And one thing that I love about his game, his ability to sit in a zone. And that's something that JSN has just been money on, especially this last season. Gino was able to find him in so many different spots because he doesn't run through the zone. He's able to throttle down and realize, oh, this is zone defense. Let me just sit here, show my hands. The quarterback's going to find me. And that's what Higgins does really well. He's able to find that hole in the zone, sit there, catch the football. Not great at yards after catch. I will admit that. He is the polar opposite, but his ability to ball track, 0 drops on 117 targets of 10 yards or more. So Mike wants someone that can do one of 2 things, get open and catch the football. He has that covered. He has other deficiencies, but if you want a guy that can get open and catch the football, he is your guy. And he would be available as well in the top 100. So if the Seahawks are looking to get a receiver, maybe 52 overall, go for it. Played in 26 straight games at Iowa State. Didn't miss a game because of injury, so health is on his side. And to wrap it up, he's number 3 all time in Iowa State history with 8 100-yard receiving games. So I really like this possibility of at least getting one wide receiver in the draft, at least one, just to shore up what you got so far with Cooper Kupp, MVS, JSN. Add this to it, man. I think it'd be pretty interesting to see.
Okay, I like your list, but Chris, can I give like a draft one of my draft hot takes that I've developed since watching some of these guys?
Absolutely.
So my draft hot take, and this I understand this has the potential to age very poorly, but that's what makes it a hot take, I guess. My hot take is I kind of don't understand like the Tet hype. I don't like. I think he's a good player. When I was watching him, I was just like, it's just kind of okay at getting open, really good yak stuff. But like the okay at getting open part, really, if I'm looking at a first round receiver, I need a lot of boxes to be checked. Like if I'm the Seahawks, I'm gonna take you at 18. I need you to be either like a really fast guy, really shifty guy. Like you can be like big guy, like box people out, contested catch guy. But if you're gonna be that, I need you to be like a like D Hop type, or even like Terry McLaurin is really good at that, or George Pickens. So some of my favorite like contested catch guy. Like okay, this is gonna sound really insulting, but you know who McMillan kind of reminded me of? I'll give you a low end comp, and I'll give you a high end comp. Which one you want first, Chris? Which
Well, you got to start with the low end.
So my low end comp is kind of like Jawan Jennings, who like, yes, that's gonna sound super low, but I'm actually high on Jennings because he just makes really tough catches on third downs. Because even if he can't get open, like he just has this chemistry with his quarterback, Brock Purdy in this instance, and you guys could see it in Jennings' numbers this year too. Like he's just a reliable player. I mean, he balled out in the Super Bowl they lost. So that's my low end comp. My high end comp will be T Higgins, and neither one of these guys is like just like barbecuing guys with their routes. Like how often you see like someone, you probably have to go into the deepest depths of Bengals Twitter to find like a T Higgins routing guys up compilation video. Like no one's posting that, right? But T gets open and he produces. And he's just so big and so athletic. Like you mentioned, Tet played volleyball. We're just gonna call him Tet on this show, I guess. But McMillan played volleyball, I think basketball as well. Like he can go up and get stuff. But like for me at 18, I want to pair that with like some other elite trait, I guess. Whether it is the speed, whether it is the getting open, the separation. Like I thought I was gonna turn on that tape and see like Tyler Lockett at K State. If you guys got some time after you listen to this show, just go Tyler Lockett, Kansas State highlights. Boy, he looks like prime Jamar Chase. He is frying those Big 12 DBs. That's what I thought I was gonna see. And you see like really good stuff, obviously from McMillan, but yeah, I don't know. As a first, like a clear cut, no brainer first round guy, I was like, I mean, it seems fine. Like I think he's gonna have a good career and stuff. But for the Seahawks, I would really like to see that that separation show up a little bit more. That was my thing. Like I think he would be a better fit for some other offenses at that high. Like I was telling Chris before we recorded, if the Bengals had decided to trade T Higgins because they didn't want to pay him and then just drafted McMillan, I'm like, oh, that's perfect. That no notes. That'd be great. But like trading like a DK and drafting it, I'm like, I don't know. This is kind of asking for it's almost square peg, round hole type of thing. Um, you know, that's kind of just my take. I think he's gonna be a good player. I do, but when I watch, because as you know, everyone's kind of like, oh, he should be like a top 10 pick. Maybe like the Jets should take him, or like the Raiders should take him, or like he shouldn't get past the Cowboys. I think the Seahawks even met with him. So I think he's gonna be a good player. But when I watched the few games, I think maybe it's just the games that I watched. I can't even honestly tell you guys in the name of transparency. I think which ones do I have here? I watched the Colorado game. I watched the West Virginia game. I think he went off in that. I watched the Arizona State game. Maybe one more, but those are the ones that are popping up in the folder I got. So I like to watch at least three. I watched some other people talk about him too, like some different film stuff. So he's a good player, but yeah, when I watched, I was like, oh no, this is like everyone's number one guy. I was like, there was other guys I like more. I like your Higgins guy more than him.
Yeah, you told me that, and I'm
This
like,
guy.
really? But the
Yeah.
one thing that I scared you with, I was like, that yards after catch, though, Mike, he ain't doing that. Higgins is catching it and getting down. No Ty Lockett.
Yeah, no, and that's what McMillan will just get and just run guys over. I did like that. Like I'm not saying
Yeah.
he's a scrub, but like I watched and I was like, other guys I felt like we're just as good relative to what I thought like going in based on how.
So basically,
before
Mike,
reading
you
the
would be
piece, too.
cool. You would be cool if he was available at like 50. You'd be like, oh, take him.
Yeah, that's the thing, and I frame everything too as like a first round thing. Like if
Yeah.
I'm taking you at 18, like
Yeah,
when I
you
took
got to be.
Jackson
That
at
makes
20,
sense.
I need you to
Exactly.
check a certain amount of boxes for me to feel good there.
JSN checks the box of you. He ain't got speed, but you know what? He finds himself open quite often.
He gets open so bro. Jackson's eval was very simple. Watch the Rose Bowl. If that don't do it for you, then you just don't like the kid. There's no other games you need to watch, So
Yeah.
I think he had like 300 something yards in that Rose Bowl. It was
Yep.
ridiculous. That's all you needed to see. He checked those boxes, So
Exactly.
it was that simple for me. But yeah, it's not that I don't think McMillan kid's good. I think at that high, I'm like, there's other guys I like. Like I said, I do other stuff, particularly just really, I may be putting too much of an emphasis on getting open, which sounds crazy for a receiver, but like
It doesn't, Mike. It doesn't.
half the job.
It does not sound crazy. It doesn't. So I'm not even
Now they're gonna
disappointed
take
or
him because I said all that.
I mean, hell, Dame put in there the route tree. It needs some work, some maturation. It needs to improve.
What did he say? Didn't he say he's like got average speed and average separation skills or something like that?
He has a simplistic route tree in college, so that's probably going to be what it is in the NFL.
I'm not too worried about that part, but what was because I think these college offenses are so. That's my other take I've developed the more I watch. These college offenses are simple as hell. It is a bunch of slants and goes and screens. It's all like everyone's running the same stuff.
Yeah, he has average deep speed and lacks pull away gear. And that's what I mentioned. If he catches it, he might run a few guys over, but he ain't escaping that 4-4 DB, that 4-3 safety, or 4-4 safety or 4-3 DB chasing after him. That's just not in his bag. And maybe the Seahawks would love to have that. Maybe they'll go get a Golden that can do that, take the top off the defense, have a better quarterback throwing you the football that creates things like that. So it's definitely worth a discussion, but I just like them just because of all the physical traits. And I think he can build on and become a better route runner, be more flexible, add some muscle that doesn't diminish his speed. Putting on 20 pounds is crazy,
Yeah,
but
20 is a lot.
you get the right trainer, you can definitely work on your speed, your lateral quickness too. Not saying that you can become faster, because you can, but it's a lot harder. But you can definitely work on your quick area speed. Something that you look at like a golden guy, because he is quick in areas and he can take the top off the defense.
I
So
think
you can.
Jaden's quick like that too. Higgins, kid from Iowa State. I really like him. He gets open for sure. Like he's a lot
Oh
twitchier
yeah,
for a guy who's probably just as big as
yeah. He's
McMillan. What are they?
6'4".
Yeah, they're the same height, similar weights, I think, and he seemed a lot twitchier. I like
Yes.
I've kind of got him a little bit more into twitchy. I think just because I feel like we're just seeing a little bit less of what we saw like 10 years ago, even where it was just line your big guy up on the outside, you're one-on-one with their Patrick Peterson, Darrell Revis, their Sherman, go win. It's a lot more motions and zones, like you mentioned, and it's just condensed splits. Like it feels like a little bit more of like, okay, I can scheme you open, but eventually I do need you to separate from the guy guarding you.
No, that
Not to say
makes
you
sense.
can't do it, but yeah, and I think if you're not going to have that, and you're not going to be super fast, I'm like, well, all right, I'll see you in the second round. That's kind of how I looked at it. I think that was in my notes. I was like, if he's there in the second, ... I think that's what I put down.
All right, this next one comes from Home Chicks. With Abe playing 13 games the last 34, is interior offensive line truly the biggest need in that room?
Yeah, I think like when and I did this when I was writing an article too. When you write down how many games Abe has played versus how many he hasn't, it's like a staggering number. Like he really has not been out there. He has not. It's really unfortunate. But so I think there's a need for a tackle, but it's tricky because let's say here's a scenario. Abe's knee is perfectly fine. He's gonna play 17 games. You're gonna extend him after the season, or maybe during the season, like at the bye week or something like that. You're going to extend Charles. So now you have your two tackles for let's say at least another 3-4 years. And you take a tackle now because you're afraid that Abe's knee doesn't check out, and that tackle can't play guard. So now what do you do?
Mm.
You just got this guy. Now, of course, it's a 17-game season, and you plan on playing more than 17 games, obviously, if you make the playoffs. So this backup guy will probably play at some point. Well, let's say you take a tackle at 18, which you could do. I like the kid from Missouri if you're going to do that. But yeah, that's just it's not bad to just put good football players on your team. But at the end of the day, there are certain positions where you can only play so many guys. It's just the reality of it. Like you take a bunch of quarterbacks, 4 quarterbacks on the roster. Well, you only can play one of these dudes. It's like having multiple kickers or something. So at some point, it doesn't matter if I take this guy in the first round, is he a starter? That's what the baseline should be. I think even John Snyder said that on his radio show too. He didn't get into like the other details of how they grade guys based on what round, but safe to say, you take a guy in the first, he's a starter. Take a tackle because of the Abe, you're like, well, where is he going to start? That's a fair question. Now, obviously, the other scenario, of course, if you're listening, you're probably like, well, Mike, what if Abe's knee is not fine? Then it's a great pick. You're right, 100%. But do you roll the dice on that? None of us have the medical information to really go on that. What we do know is that if Abe knee is okay and you take a guard at any point, first round, second round, whatever, there's an obvious path to where he could start at either spot. So it's just a better, there's no rolling the dice there in that regard of like, dang, where are we going to play him? No, play him at either one, left guard, right guard, don't matter. Find a way to play them at both at the same time. Revolutionize the guard position if you need to. So, I think I understand being worried about Abe, and Chenna. You can worry about both of them for very similar reasons. And injuries, they've not been around. Like it's perfectly fair. It's hard for us with the medical information that we are privy to make those calls. It just depends on what the Seahawks know about Abe's knee or what Chenna's going on with his surgery that he just had. So it's a fair question for sure. With the medical information we have, I would not call. I'm not taking a tackle. I'd be okay not taking a tackle in this draft, to be quite honest. But if I was going to take one, I would probably take one on day 3 and just roll the dice. And if something really goes bad, with Abe's knee. He goes with a setback. I mean, that sucks. But I feel like it's worthwhile to try to make the other spots that you're, based on what we know now, to make the other spots better and assume Abe's knee is fine because it looks fine, seems fine from what they're telling us. I'll roll with that for now.
This next one comes from Darren T. Seems like, actually, you know what? I'm going to come back to that. This one is from at Beef Biggie. With Jalen Miro visiting Seattle, at what pick would you feel comfortable taking him?
All right. Am I kicking this off or you want to kick this off? I have thoughts as well. I don't care when I go.
I will go ahead and go first. I'm not really sold. I'll be honest. A lot of questions about the kid, and I just don't think the Seahawks need that right now. As you mentioned, Mike, how many quarterbacks they got already? They got 3.
Yeah,
Is this guy really?
They might still have Jaron Hall too. I think they have 4, maybe. They got enough. Put it that way.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I really don't. I think he has the dual threat potential, but that's not even what the Seahawks are. That's not what their offense is, right? They need someone to be a quarterback. And if you can escape, yay, but I'm not impressed. I just think, his inconsistency with his footwork that I've read and seen, because I've seen a few clips of him playing. I'm like, okay. But he's kind of he's not reading the defense. He's just like, oh, I like it. I'm gonna just launch that bad boy, which is great, but I need you to be able to see. Oh,
that's most college quarterbacks too, by the way. They are just launching it out there. But yeah, I get what you're saying.
I just need him to be able to read like, oh, that's cover 2. Oh, I should have the deep middle open. I don't know if he's able to see that. And he can learn that. That's something you can build and learn on. But the Seahawks are in a place where we want to build, bring in a guy that's they want to win, right? So if they're going to draft a quarterback, they're probably banking on him being ready next season. And I don't know after a year of sitting that he'll be ready next season. I could be wrong, but I'm just not sold on Jalen right now. On the little that I've seen and read, I'll be honest. I haven't watched a ton. Mike has probably watched, 90 hours of this kid. I've watched 5. Okay. So there's a huge discrepancy there. So Mike, I'll let you take it from here.
So when I saw that, we're at the point in the draft cycle where guys their stock starts to go up or whatever, and people are talking about it more and more in the first round. And then when I saw that Jalen got an invite to the draft, which is usually reserved for people who think they're going to be first round picks, the first thing I thought of was, boy, he must be nailing those interviews. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, he must be making people fall in love with him off the field. And then I read up some of his bio, talked to some people who know him. I was like, oh, military kid, super polite, like he's leader guy. Oh, makes perfect sense. Because I was like, it can't be the tape. I was like, it can't be. What am I missing? Because there's just like I break down receivers to a very simple thing, like get open, catch it. Quarterbacks, far more complicated. But if I had to boil it down to 3, I'd probably go with, let me know if I'm missing one here, Chris, but I would say in no particular order, accuracy, pocket presence, and toughness. Those would probably be my 3, like physical tools. Am I missing anything? I'm trying to think.
I guess this is not a physical tool, but I think your decision making is huge.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I would say, yeah.
Like knowing when to take a sack, knowing when to throw it away, knowing when to take risk, which is not easy, but to be elite, you're going to have that.
So I would say that those are probably the big 4. Accuracy, and if you even want to take toughness out, I can understand. I need toughness. You can't be no sucker back there because you're going to get beat to hell if we're going to play 17 games plus more. Like, you're just going to have to be tough as hell. So I need accuracy, pocket presence, toughness, and decision making. Those are like the big 4. And then my off the field one, I need you to be a leader guy, but that's whatever. Right? Just physical tools. So when I'm watching, I'm looking for those things. I don't really care how strong your arm is, because if you're accurate and make good decision makings, the ball will get there. Generally, your arm's strong or not. Well, that's college. That's pros. So if you have a strong arm as well, that is fine. But if you don't, as long as you have those other 4 things going for you, I'll still take you in the first round. So I watched Jalen. I was like, oh, he's out there just spraying it. And I was like, I don't know if I can get down with that. The decision making kind of seemed actually to be whatever. But the like, oh, my read's not there. Well, I'm just gonna turn into Taysom Hill. I don't know if that's my first round guy. That's like a take a flyer on day 3 project guy. And again, I'm talking like viewing him as like a first round pick. That's why I said when he got invited to Green Bay, I said, whoa, what info did he get? And good for him if he gets drafted in the first round. But yeah, that's not my bag. Is the guy is like, my guy not there. Here we go. Time to go run somebody over. Like you can be that, but it's not my cup of tea. It's just not. And that's kind of Jackson Dart too, by the way. But anyway, we're talking about Jalen. See, I just not seeing it there, particularly with the accuracy. Um, he is tough. Decision making seemed fine from the few games that I peeped, but yeah, it was just like the presence when I say presence, it really just means like playmaking and ability to like do stuff in there that's not necessarily like I need you to be doing honestly almost the opposite of what Russ was doing earlier in his career, just spinning back there 3 times. No, stand there, make good decisions, have feel, don't drop your eyes when the rushes come in, like pocket presence, pocket feel, whatever, however people want to gauge all that stuff. Yeah, I just didn't see it. I'm not a big fan at all. Like I think the question was, what round would we take him? I just probably wouldn't. Um, because that's kind of where I've become also with QBs. It's like if I think, depending on what I think you need to get better at, it's probably not worth my time. Like you said, the team want to win. Like if I think you need to get better at being accurate, I don't know, man. Like that, like that's a huge one. You need to be like Anthony Richardson, physical specimen guy, and even then, like I can see why teams were like, no, guy can't hit broadside of a barn. I can't take him. And what do you know? Last year he was completing like 44% of his passes. And they were like, yeah, he needs competition. Like, because accuracy is hard to make up for. It's just a very dangerous thing to not have. So that's one of the first things that stood out with Jalen. So without that, I was like, yeah, I just don't see it. I probably wouldn't take him. I mean, if he's there like in the 4th or something like that, it's kind of whatever. But like in this offense in particular, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, actually. And you know what's funny, Chris? The more one of the things I wrote down, I didn't talk about Jalen, I don't think, in my quarterback story that I wrote, but I kind of compared him to like a diet Russell Wilson, because he can throw a deep ball really well. That's probably the thing he does best. That's not running, is he can launch it, and he's pretty good at it as well. He's like a diet Russell Wilson with the deep ball, and he's like a supercharged Taysom Hill running the ball. Like, and it's funny now I'm thinking about that. That's probably the gadget guy right there. This is your gadget guy. This is it. Bring it back to our first. This is it. This is the gadget guy. If you want to do that, now Jalen might be insulted by that. He might be like, "No, I'm not. That's not me. I'm a quarterback." He's probably right. Do your thing, kid. I'm not asking you to play running back or whatever. But that's kind of what I saw. I saw like gadget guy, like goal line package dude. Like way like he is a real quarterback, but yeah, for the Seahawks, I'm not interested. I'm not. I think that he would make sense for like if the Eagles wanted like a succession plan there, backup project guy there. Who else? The Ravens,
even the Saints.
Well, they just need a quarterback. But yeah, Saints, Colts, if they want to roll the dice on that again, though I'm sure that their next quarterback, if this Anthony Richardson thing doesn't come out, it's just going to be the whitest, most statuesque guy possible. Like, we're not doing this again. They're going to like bring in Arch Manning or something like that. Yeah, that's probably it. I'm sure some other coordinators could make it work with Jalen, but yeah, I don't think he'd be a good fit in Pittsburgh. I think they're reportedly interested in him. Yeah, I'm just not seeing it with so many teams. It seems like it's too much work to try to get to where I need him to be. Like even Jalen Hurts had some of these same drawbacks, but he was still a better thrower of the ball. Like I need like when you throw it, I need to trust that you're gonna get it where it's supposed to be when you're supposed to get it there. And if not, I can't rely on just you running because he's a generational runner. Like I said, he's like Taysom Hill on steroids. Like it's just like bulldozer, got wheels. Like he is special. But like, I'm not asking you to play running back. I need you to throw. So yeah, where would I take him? I probably just wouldn't.
This next one comes from Darren T. Hawks are doing due diligence on quarterbacks. How realistic is it that they spend a day 2 pick on a QB or trade up in the second?
I definitely wouldn't trade up for any of these guys. I don't think there's any starting quarterbacks in this draft outside of Cam Moore, to be honest. Just like I don't think there's any like wide receiver ones in this draft at all. To be honest, I don't think there's any like high end wide receiver ones. I think, let me see. Let's see if we can workshop this. Who's like a low end wide receiver one in the NFL? Like Michael Pittman. Would you call him a one? Is he like a wide receiver one?
Man,
I would say, yeah, I think so.
yeah, I
Maybe.
guess depending on what team he on. The
I mean,
Colts,
he
he's
got
number
like
one.
what, like 24 million a year or something like that, right?
They
23.
paying
Like,
him. Shoot,
yeah,
I
he
get it.
got paid like a wide receiver one type of guy. I would say, that's probably what I would say like the you get like if any of these guys end up being your wide receiver one, you're probably going to draft your receiver the next draft. That's probably just how I would put it. And the quarterbacks, I feel similar. Like Cam is probably a starter. I think Shador can be a starter. He has a lot of those attributes I was talking about: accuracy, pretty good decision maker, protects the ball pretty well, toughness. Um, with the box, he does not check his pocket presence. That boy will take a 15-yard sack just at any given moment. It's like, bro, what are you doing? Like, how much Justin Fields, Russell Wilson tape do you watch? Like, it doesn't have to be 2nd and 22, bro. Just go down. It was 2nd and 13. We can live with that. Like, he just turns his Shador sacks are bad, and he's not that great of an athlete either. So it's like, bro, what are you doing back there spinning? It's one thing if Russ did that. Like, Russ is an elite athlete, you know. So it's like, okay, I see why you think you can juke a defensive end and make something happen. That's not Shador's bag. I don't know why he did that in college. So if he doesn't become a starter, I'm almost certain that would be the reason. It's just because he has too many negative plays that you can't make up for with him not having like another elite trait, like physical trait to make up, like Jalen Milrose running. If they do take a guy, I think in the first round, I think I'd probably only take Cam or Shador. Not gonna lie, Chris. When I watched Jalen, Dart, Shuck. Who else is out? Quinn, Will Howard, and I think Kyle McCord. I think I watched all. I didn't watch Dylan Gabriel. I'm not gonna waste my time doing that. The Oregon kid. That wasn't worth my time. So I watched all those guys, and I was like, okay, I think if they're gonna take one on day 2, my guy would probably be Shuck. That's the Louisville kid who's like already me and Chris's age. Because he was in college for a long time, bro. He was in college like 2018.
Yeah, 7-year senior.
That is a long time to be in college.
He's 25 years old.
Yeah, man. He's already the same age as who's 25 in the Seahawks. He's the same age as Ernest Jones. That's how he's the same age as Ernest Jones, who's already on his second deal. So that I can see why if the medicals check out on him, I think that of those guys, the reason why he's probably my favorite is he can problem solve from the pocket because he's a good athlete too. Like all these injuries he suffered, like he's still pretty mobile. He can move. He can move and throw on the run. He can like sidearm stuff. He has a play. I forget who they're playing. The other team wears green, I think. And he's like falling down, sidearm, dot in the back of the end zone for a touchdown. Maybe they're playing Notre Dame, I think. It was like, oh my goodness. Like, okay. Like he can problem solve with his arm angles, which I really like. Matthew Stafford's good at that. Lamar Jackson's really good at that. So I like guys who can do that because, again, you can't just always take off and run. You're going to die. It's the NFL. These dudes hit too hard. So Shuck would probably be my guy. He's got a strong arm. The box he doesn't check is that decision-making, boy. Sometimes he's just doing whatever out there. Sometimes I don't play video games no more. Chris plays a lot more than me, but sometimes it'd be something like your finger slip and you hit the wrong button and you just do something. Yeah, like that you do that and the ball just does some wild stuff. You're like, damn, no, bro, I tried to press square or whatever. I don't play no more. Whatever buttons you throw it. Like he seems to be doing that quite a bit. Where it's like, okay, you press circle on accident, huh? That's what happened there. He does some of those plays. His other thing with decision making from the games that I saw. I have a list. I can look it up later, but I think I watched like 3-4 games with him. Notre Dame, Miami, a couple others. Chris, he has an interesting trait where he's just like, I got to give my guy a chance. And I'm like, you know what? That's admirable. But at the same time, sometimes you just want to grab him before he throws it and say, no, you don't. It's second down. Throw that in the dirt. Throw that to your mom in the stands. we're okay. We're not down 10 in the fourth quarter. It's okay. Just dirt it. Because I do like that attitude of like, I'm gonna give my guy a shot. I love that. But once you start doing that and you start doing some goofy stuff, then it's like, okay, you gotta chill out. And when I'm talking about a guy who's been in college for 7 years and that's your drawback, that's why I'm a little turned off. But if I had to pick a guy, he'd probably be the one. I'm not big on yours. The arm strength was like, yeah, nah. Wasn't a great athlete. Kyle McCord was like a statue, strong arm though. Who else? Who else is out there, Chris? Who else they like?
You mentioned all of them, I believe.
Did they meet with Dart? I can't remember if the Seahawks met with Dart.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not a Dart guy. Are you a Dart guy?
Haven't seen enough of him or read anything, so no, I don't know much about Dart other than a lot of people think he'd be a great fit. I've heard a couple people, oh, Dart would be great in Seattle. I'm like, okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I don't know, man. He's that offense, boy. That is a fun offense because all you got to do is just snap the ball and turn. Someone's probably open. Everyone get open so fast. And the receiver that they have there is good. I think it's Trey Harris. He's number 9. I think he's a baller. He's a baller. He's what really stood out when I watched some of the Ole Miss games. But yeah, Dart's kind of problem solving, at least from the few games I watched, was just like, all right, I'm out of here. Tuck it and run. And he is good. He's a good runner. He has the most quarterbacky name possible, like Dart. Oh my God, that's fire. Like imagine if he was like a tight end, that'd be awful. But he's got a quarterback name and he just can run though. Yeah. And then day 3, I would take McCord on day 3 because he's ballsy. I like him. He reminded me of like a less talented Baker. You know, you watch Baker, Oklahoma. He was like, I'm a badass. I'm gonna just laser this bad boy in there, and my guy will get there. McCord's kind of like that too. Just doesn't move much, at least in the games that I saw. And then I would take Will Howard in the 3rd round or in on day 3, Ohio State kid. He's also like he reminds me of like a diet Baker, or if Will Levis was like good, because Will Levis is a because Will Levis is a gamer. Like Will Levis, I think he might have had this happen in the game. I don't know. I think Baker has. Like if they were scrambling and they lost their helmet, they're not about to slide. They're about to just keep running. I think that's happened to Baker, and he's got concussed doing it. Or like Baker will lower his shoulder into a linebacker because he's like, I'm a baller. I'm a badass. He's a gamer. Will Howard is like that too. He's a baller. He's just trying to make plays. Strong arm. He had a really good feel for what Chip Kelly wanted him to do in that offense. It's probably the best offense I watched of all these quarterbacks. Offense was like legit, which makes sense because it was Chip. So I'd probably take him on Will on day 3, McCord on day 3, Shuck on day 2, and Shadur on day 1. Does that sound about right?
Hey man, this is your world. We just living in it, bro. You good? You got it.
Well, I think because they are doing their due diligence. I understand. I get that. It makes sense. I think it's worth meeting with all these guys. You know, getting their thought process. I would really like to meet with. I can see why they met with Shuck because if he can get on the board, like on the film, and explain to me why he did like A, B, and C, and it's a good explanation. Oh, you're a Seahawk. Because sometimes you never know, like what he was coached to do. Maybe the receiver ran the wrong thing, or like what the QB coach is telling him about whatever. You never really know. So yeah, come here. Hey, why did you do this, this, and that? If the explanations check out, oh come on, because he can play. I think he can play, and he should because he's been in college, you know, since Obama was in office. So like he should definitely be able to play by now, and he can. He's probably the best of the non-Cam Ward guys in terms of being ready to go like in like a year or 2. I think all these guys are like a year or 2 away from being able to start and be competent. And I think the fastest guy to that path is probably Shuck. Everybody else, I'm just kind of I'm out on. I'm out. It's particularly the guys who just drop their eyes super fast when they get pressured. That's like a huge turnoff for me. And I saw a lot of that watching these guys.
All right, this last one comes from the Big Ginge. New regime has been in for 1 full season. Do you think McDonald had more command of the draft this year compared to what we saw last season?
That's a good question. I mean, we're projecting, so I mean, who knows? Like Mike could think he has it and he get in there and John just don't listen to him, you know. I think that of course he has to. I think what's really going to stand out is helping maybe give some prospects the benefit of the doubt a little bit more. particularly on defense, obviously. Like if they have a tie between a prospect, or like maybe there's a let's say you got a tie between a prospect. One's a safety. Give me a guy on offense. Just give me a position.
Full or tight end.
Okay, thank you. You got a tight end. You got a safety. Maybe Mike's influence, and we'll never know this, but maybe Mike's influence is like, look, if we haven't graded similarly, I'm a defensive minded head coach. Let's roll with the safety. They both have A, B, and C deficiencies, but I feel like I can help with this deficiency because I know DBs, whatever. I feel like we may see some of that. We're not going to know. That's the tricky part. And I think the other way, we'll see the influence. And again, this is not something we know on draft night, but I do think this will show up in the kids' rookie years, if not guaranteed by year 2, is the mental part, whether they're just Mike McDonald guys. Like you can kind of get you guys, even if you don't, if Mike McDonald's not super quotable, he's actually very boring, super nice, not super quotable, thinks too much when he talks, he's trying too hard to say the wrong thing, or excuse me, he's trying too hard not to say the wrong thing, way too much, which makes sense. He's kind of new to this, but anyway, I bring that up because ignoring how quotable or entertaining Mike McDonald is, you can definitely get a feel for like him being very particular about the type of people he wants to deal with, like the no nonsense type of like very matter of fact, love football, like run through a wall type of guys. Like if you just like football, it's just thing you've been good at your whole life, or something your family did. You know, your cousins played ball, your grandparents, your parents, so you play football too, but you don't really love it. Like he'll sniff that out of you fast. And if you're not like an elite player to make up for that, oh yeah, no. Like that's not you. I don't think it's like an IQ thing. I think that Mike has been around long enough to know like guys' ability to learn is also tied to your ability to teach. Like if he's not getting it, you need to maybe change how you're presenting it to him. Like for some guys, like that's really important. So it's not that part. I do think it's just like a mentality. And there are some guys who have it and some don't. I think, and it's different at each position. Like you can really see it with like offensive players, like who's an asshole and who's not. Like you can see that. Like when you like, I love when I'm watching a lineman and him and the edge rushers pushing each other after the play. They 10 yards away from the play, pushing each other, just cussing each other out. I ain't got no sound on it, but I can definitely tell. Like they're talking about each other's moms for sure. Like I love that. Draft him. That's actually Christian Hayes, to be really honest. Like he was at UConn just cussing everybody out. Love that. And he's a Mike McDonald guy, guaranteed. And then some guys are just not. Their makeup is just not there. That's why I like that Florida State corner. You could tell his makeup is like that, and it's not necessarily demonstrative, but it is just to be like, nah, man, I'm here to coach. I'm here to kick ass. That's what we do. Like that's why Ernest was such a great get, because that's how he carries himself all the time. Gino is how he carries himself all the time. I was very surprised, not surprised, but it was interesting to hear DK kind of not feel like a part of the new shift in regime or whatever, because DK is like that at all times, like
Right.
all the damn time. So I think Doug would have been a Mike McDonald guy. That's a huge Mike McDonald guy for sure. Like that's his bag. So I think that we're going to see a lot more guys that fit that. Not to say that every guy has to fall into a box. Football players aren't a monolith, but the guys who aren't that will stand out very quickly. Very, very, very quickly. And the guys who are that will also stand out in a good way. I think Byron Murphy is that. I think on offense, AJ Barner is that. Like AJ Barner, like it's even just the competitive part of AJ where it's like you call him a blocking tight end. He'd be like, bro, I'm a tight end. I can do whatever you say. I can go out there and catch these passes. I can block. Like I'm like that. Like it's just that attitude. Kobe Bryant, perfect. There's so many of them. So not so many, but I'm just kind of naming all the examples I can think of right now. So I think we watched in real time, Chris, last year, him try to like find out if Tyrese Knight was that, like in the preseason. It felt like he was like testing Tyrese a little bit to see like, okay, how is he going to respond to me like being on him? I don't care. He had 12 tackles in his preseason game. Like I'm gonna still be on him the next day to see how he responded. I feel like that was part of him seeing whether Tyrese was a Mike McDonald guy.
Yeah, there's ways to do it. Mike has his way. He's building his foundation. Year 1's in the books. How is year 2 going to turn out? You got a whole new draft class coming in, and I think Mike has an understanding of what type of guys Mike McDonald is looking forward to having on his roster. I think we're starting to see how this team is coming to formation and what they're going to look like. So it should be another exciting NFL draft to see what the Seahawks do. Mike, you got another mock draft coming out anytime soon before the big day?
Yeah, I think they're mandating. We had a behind the curtain at the Athletic. We had a staff meeting for all of our NFL people, and they were showing us like graphs of all this. This is at the combine. They were showing us like all the stuff that does well on the site. Like here's this number is pie charts. A 5-hour meeting. Anyway, one of the takeaways from it from the big wigs, they was like, hey, you can literally not do too many mock drafts. They do so well. If you published one every day, we have enough data to deduce that people will read them at an appropriate rate to justify it being worth your time. If you guys haven't noticed, I think we published a mock draft literally every week, like a national one. Nick Bumgarner or Dane or somebody published one, I think every week. Ben in DC, because there's no way we can't do too many of them. So yes. Anyway, I will do another one. I think I got like 2 or 3 more stories coming, but yeah, I'll do another mock. Trying to get busy with some trades. Yeah, I'll try to get busy with some trades. Yeah, on my next one. Yeah, we'll see. There's so many guys I'm like out on now. Once you really watch them, that was like the thing when I went back and when I'm really like watching these guys, not just like watching other people's film breakdowns, a little bit of film here, like listening to people on podcasts. When I just go put my eyes on a guy, quiet, put my headphones on, I'm like, oh, this dude not that nice. I wouldn't draft him at all. Or some guys I'm like, oh yeah, sign me up. Or some dudes I'm like, I would love to meet him and see like how that would go. Like some guys, yeah, I can tell like they would have sold me in the meeting. Like if I'd have met Kobe Bryant before the draft, I might have took him in like the 3rd round because he's a dog.
Yeah.
I just would have fell in love with that personality. So and that competitive, that attitude. So yeah, I have some more coming. I'm trying to get one more pod in too before the draft too as well.
On the flip side, literally, at Home Chicks, he has 2 questions, and we'll get to it now. His second question though is, if the Seahawks trade, where do you guys see the value at to do so?
So the scenario that I'm been like playing with a little bit is if there's guys I like in the 1st round, but if you're there at 18 and the Browns want a quarterback and they're willing to come up, I'm about to get and the Browns are willing to come up from 33, I think they have, and they're going to give me a future. They're probably not going to give you a future first, but I would start there with the negotiations. Let's say they give you a future second, and you got to go back to 33. I might do that. Because I think that in that range, you're still probably getting a player that honestly might be there 18, but if not, is just as good. Like we got some mocks that had that scenario. I think we actually published one of those, but there were several. But I'm kind of falling in love with that scenario because you're going to get more draft capital too. The Browns have like 10 or 11 picks, so they're going to give you more in this year's draft too. But that extra second, I think I've also fallen in love with the idea of like going to get Trey Hendrickson. But if you don't go get him, I think that can help you. That if you are going to make a push this year for the playoffs, championship, whatever, I don't think they'll win the championship. But if you're going to try to do it, that extra second, that's how you can maybe go get your Leo, your Dwayne Brown. Like we've seen them, you already have it. So you're not punting on future draft capital. You got like a bonus second rounder that you can maybe go get like in training camp if you got an injury at the deadline. Like I do think that would be, you kind of just have that in your pocket. Because I think the guys from picks 15 to 50 or whatever are being kind of in the same range. Like if you trade back, Chris, I think from 18 to 33 and pick up whatever extra stuff, so you still ended up with like 12 picks in this draft or whatever, plus an extra 2 next year. And I still got the Ohio State receiver, the one he's from Seattle.
Emeka?
Yes. Like if I end up with him, I'm okay with that. I really like him too. Speaking of receivers, he gets open and he has good hands. There it is. Like he's great in zone, gets open. Like that. that scenario I would like if I could trade back and get the other Michigan defensive tackle, Grant, I think is his last name. He probably won't be there, but if he is, I would be okay with that as well. Like, so there are some guys who I would take them at 18, honestly. And if they're still there at 33, which they could be, and I trade back, get like an extra second or third in this draft, fourth in this draft, a 2 in next year's draft that I can use later to go get me a guy to fix something that's broke later on down the line. I like that. I think that's the scenario that I've kind of fallen in love with the most. There are other ones if you just want to trade to 21 or 24 or whatever. But I think that seeing if Cleveland wants to come up for a quarterback, I think that that's like the most fun scenario I think of when I think of trades.
Okay. Well,
In the league
stay
right now.
tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Stay tuned. We want to thank you guys for all the love and support. And yes, a new feature segment opportunity for questions. Yes, we have voicemails. So give us a call at 206-705-3821. We answer and say, leave us a voicemail. So you know what? If you have a question, a comment, a concern, whatever the case may be, we're open, especially with the draft. Give it to us. We will answer as many as we can. So feel free to do that. It's open. So yeah, that's something we're going to continue to hit on, as well as go for Twitter questions as well. That's something that will always be a staple. But, Mike was like, hey, man, let's add to it. So adding to it, we shall. And again, we appreciate all the love and support. And as Mike mentioned, we'll try to come back with at least one more show before the draft begins, which is next Thursday. Wow, it's already here. Mike, is there anything you want to add before we get out of here?
Just appreciate all the love and support. Again, we're gonna try to get you one more pod in before the draft, and then we'll do our post draft wrap up. Should be fun. I'm excited for this draft, so make sure you guys like and subscribe to all of our channels, all our platforms, Blue Sky, whatever Elon's calling that site, Instagram, our YouTube channel, TikTok. We appreciate all the love and support. We'll catch you guys next time.